So the question remains, is Hollywood dying in 2024? It's not looking good. Last year they made far less shows than usual. They can't seem to figure out what their business model will be going forward with all this streaming services and so on. And there's just not blockbuster movies like there used to be. And it's not looking good for 2024 either. There aren't that many blockbuster movies that are coming out. So that's unfortunate for them. Might be good for us because we won't be fooled into going to the theater to watch some crap. But there's significantly less scripted television series than there were in the past, and the ones that exist are much shorter than they were decades ago. I've said before on my channel that there's a death of community in this country. People just aren't getting together to watch TV anymore. There used to be shows that people would watch every week with their friends and family, and that's just not happening anymore. Everyone kind of lives in their own personal bubble. So it seems like niche media has led to the death of, it's not the only thing. A plethora of things have uh, had a negative effect, but it's one of those factors that seems to have led to declining socialization within the US. The total is the most definitive evidence of a slowdown that executives have been predicting for at least a few years now, right? Some people were predicting that, that woke television programming would ruin Hollywood a few years ago. And now that's really taking place. And they're just not producing what they used to because pushing politics before um, plot or character development, and not focusing on those key archetypes that people love, it's not a good sign for your show or your movie. So it seems like it's going to continue to go down. This article says there are 5 burning questions facing Hollywood in 2024. There's obviously still writers' strikes uh, that might happen. And that, again, maybe. I mean, we already had that for a bit, which slowed things down. And yeah, so where are the blockbusters? Mentioned that briefly. They're just not happening. I think the biggest blockbuster of 2024 might be, what is it, Groot 4 or something? I don't know what the movie is. Not really excited about that. I am excited about Deadpool 3, but will that make $1 billion? You know, I mean, that used to be the goal of a Marvel movie. They had a lot of them that used to make $1 billion, and now they're not doing that, even though we've had high levels of inflation over the past 10 or 15 years. So it should be easier to hit $1 billion now, but they're just not doing it. Hi, Captain America: Brave New World. Is anyone excited about that at this point? I don't think so. It's not looking good. Um, Marvel keeps ruining everything. It looks like they just ruined X-Men '97. They're making it woke, which is terrible because that's one of my top 3 cartoons from my childhood, along with Spider-Man and Batman the animated series. So I hope they don't bring back the other 2 and ruin those as well. I am interested in Dune Part 2, but that's not going to get a lot of money at the box office because people are going to be watching it on HBO. Number 2, will Disney get its groove back? Absolutely not. They will not get their groove back. Disney's failing everywhere. I have a couple of videos about that on my channel as well. Marvel used to be the envy of everyone, and then they got criticized of making theme park styled movies, and they just got overconfident and they stopped focusing on what made them successful in the first place. So now nobody really wants to watch Disney superhero films. They're all bombing. People say it's superhero fatigue. I don't believe that. They had a wide enough variety of the types of films they were producing to keep it interesting. It's just that they've pushed politics instead, and even the actors are speaking out against it. I just published a video about Robert Downey Jr. criticizing Marvel, and then they got Star Wars guys like Adam Driver criticizing Star Wars. So let's check that out real quick.
But certainly, all the choices they made may have been the worst ones they could possibly make. Listen to Adam Driver on The Rich Eisen Show.
But did you know? Did you know that at least you're playing Vader 2.0? Like, at least did you know that as
Yeah.
conceptually?
I did,
going
yeah,
in?
yeah. And I had an overall arc in mind that he wanted to do, which then changed. But his idea was that almost the opposite journey of Vader, where Vader starts the most confident, the most committed to the dark side, and by the last movie, he's the most vulnerable and weak, and he
Yes.
wanted to start at the opposite, where this character was the most confused and vulnerable, and by the end of the three movies would be most committed to the dark side. So I tried to keep that arc in mind, regardless if that wound up not being the journey anyway.
And that in and of itself, one, it would just point more to me that they drew so much inspiration for this character. They ripped it off from the expanded universe, Jason Solo, Darth Caedus. But that's a completely different story that I've been down multiple times. Idea in the world.
Because it changed, obviously, as we were shooting.
Yeah, right.
Right, but I was still kind of focused on that.
When did it change?
Well, with Ryan, he took it into a different direction, but still,
Okay.
it kind of still tracked with the character. Then the last one, it changed
Okay.
into being, about them and the dyad and things like that.
And then again,
None of this shit was planned. We've known this for years now. None of it was planned. They changed so much in the final movie. Of course, after letting Ryan Johnson do what he did, then having to come back and try to write some of the direction of it, it was always going to be a challenge. But yes, none of this shit was fucking planned.
again, so you
and kind of evolving into Ben.
All right, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, Star Wars killed that series, unfortunately. So it doesn't look like Disney is going to recover. Kevin Feige and Bob Iger have just doubled down on pushing useless political narratives. So late night television also have gotten too political. Their viewership just continues to go down. Surprised to see it's not late night, but I'm surprised to see Jon Stewart make a comeback and actually criticize Biden. That was really surprising. But all these other shows are too political. Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert and all this other nonsense is just a waste of time. Apparently, his name isn't even Colbert; it's Colbert. He just goes by Colbert because he thinks it sounds fancier. Seth Meyers is a waste of time, and the stuff is just not that funny at all, and so it just continues to go downhill, which is disappointing. Concert tickets. People don't like Ticketmaster. I'm not going to focus too much on that. Which conglomerates will be left standing? People have talked about parts of Disney getting bought out. They basically had a hostile takeover of much of their stock not too long ago. So the stockholders are saying, hey, we're here to make money, not lose money. So, I think that Disney's foibles with pushing political narratives and losing money is going to prove in the end that Milton Friedman and stockholder theory are far superior to nonsense stakeholder theory that you can't apply to real life and find a way to be successful. So Paramount is trying to cure itself by possibly combining with some other groups. So we'll see what happens there. If there's some mergers going forward, that wouldn't be surprising, really. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Here we have this article from the Hollywood Reporter, talks about Bob Iger a bit. He's supposedly rolling out a new comprehensive strategy for the future, but more film has been released that you may have seen on other channels showing that he always wanted to focus on politics the whole time, and he was a major contributor in destroying Disney's success over the past few years. And that's what happens. People get too confident. Instead of putting out good content that applies or appeals to everyone, they start pushing niche political philosophies, and that sort of thing just doesn't work. So Iger says that the hunt for the next CEO is robust, and that he has been conducting a post-mortem about what happened last time. Yeah, right. He's just making excuses. I don't think they're going to change anything. I think they're going to fail, just like they did before. ESPN is failing. ESPN hasn't been good since I was in college, back in 2007. I used to get up in the morning and watch ESPN2, And back when it was chill, you just drink some coffee and they talk about sports. Now they're just screaming at each other, and it's not enjoyable to watch at all. AI is going to replace a lot of these writers, which is what they're probably concerned about. Problem with AI is it can't come up with an original idea, but you could say the same about Hollywood. They can't really come up with an original idea, and that's unfortunate. So, yeah, I guess they're going to try to figure out how to deal with that. More deals, more mergers. Advertising is down across the board. It seems like for everyone. A lot of social media companies are losing advertising as they focus more on those short little videos. NBA is losing viewership, right? All the well, except for the NFL, I think everything's in sports is losing viewership. The recent All-Star game that just happened had horrible viewership. One team scored over 200 points and just nobody cared. They threw up 138 three-pointers, I believe I read, which is just insane. So nobody wants to watch basketball, and a big part of that is LeBron James. You may remember his Twitter post from a while back. Might be a couple years ago now, where he wrote "Get him" on a picture of a police officer. Is pretty ridiculous, pretty inappropriate. So, this article says why modern Hollywood movies are so woke, unpacking political correctness in contemporary Hollywood cinema. And, PC culture is absolutely what's causing the downfall of Hollywood. So I think due to the needs of these companies to make money means that it might not last forever. They can't go on forever this way and continue to lose money because people won't lend them funds to start new ones. So we need a reset of Hollywood, not of society. I want to avoid the Great Reset, but Hollywood needs a bit of a reset. And these guys were predicting the end of Hollywood back in 2022. A lot of people were. So the woke revolution has driven out white men and ensures that every production is ideologically sound, will kill the entertainment industry, writes Peter Kiefer and Peter Devodnik. A few years ago, as the editor-in-chief of Hollywood pitched a story to the newsroom, he had just come back from lunch with a well-known agent who had suggested the paper take a look at the unintended consequences of Hollywood's efforts to diversify, right? But they don't diversify in ideas. That's the problem. If you're in a creative industry like movies or music, you need diversity of ideas more than anything. Those white men who had spent decades writing scripts which had been turned into blockbuster movies and television shows were no longer getting hired. The newsroom blew up. The reporters, especially the younger ones, mocked the idea that white men were on the outs. The editor-in-chief, normally self-assured, immediately backtracked. He looked rattled. It was a missed opportunity. The story wasn't just about white guys not getting jobs, nor was it really about the economics of Hollywood. It was about the stories Hollywood told and distributed and streamed on screens around the globe every day. Well, less and less nowadays, right? It was about the massively lucrative industry that had been birthed by outsiders and emerged out of lemon groves into the glamorous, glitzy mosh pit, teeming with chutzpah and broken hearts and unbelievable success stories that had made the American dream a real, pulsating thing for Americans and billions of other people who thought that if you could imagine something, anything, you could bring it into being. And of course, that was the dream of Disney for so many people, but they've managed to destroy that. It was a story about who we aspired to be. After the meeting, a reporter approached another editor about pursuing it. The editor told the reporter to drop it. Don't talk about it, right? You'll just get yourself in trouble. You'll get yourself canceled. No one, he said to the Hollywood Reporter, one of the handful of trade publications that covers the ins and outs of the entertainment industry, was going to risk blowing up their career over this. And that no one is really in any organization. So I was just, beginning to speak up against DEI and social justice because they're failed ideologies that just result in increased levels of racism. The explosion of woke, right? What is woke? Woke is putting identity politics over story, right? And that's not what they did in the past. People keep claiming that it is, but older TV shows didn't do that. They had some diversity of characters, but they weren't putting the political identity above the quality of the story. Why are movies still woke when they have continued to fail? Their main objective is about making money, which they're not doing, which is why it probably won't last. But they have so many woke people in their organizations now that turning over a new leaf is going to be quite difficult for them. So it says here, I don't believe for a second that any of those companies actually give a rat's furry behind about any of the people they claim to care about. They are opportunists. It makes them money. Yeah, I mean, that's why they tried to do it, and it worked for a minute, and then people have quickly gotten sick of it. So it's probably not going to last all that much longer. But anyways, if you'd like more content like this, then please subscribe and leave a positive comment.